Hey guys, it's me, bittersteel here, back with another video, HoI4. Now today we'll be taking a look at something completely unrelated to Battle for the Bosporus. Now while I wait for this patch to mature, as you can see I'm still on the beta patch 1.10.2, let's have a look at a nation that's fairly unaffected by all the shenanigans. And that nation is Spain. Now Spain's a very interesting country, especially because of the early conflict. So what can we do as Spain? Well, here's the big one. One king, two crowns. As Spain, more specifically carlist Spain, conquer all of France, all French cores. So let's do that. We'll leave the game on Iron Man mode, obviously, with historical AI on, so you'll have some idea of what the other countries are going to do. But first, if you like these videos, leave a like and hit me up in the comments telling me what you want to see me try next. Maybe a cool challenge, maybe some achievements you're having trouble with. I'm always open to some more suggestions. Also consider subscribing and hitting that bell icon. That way you'll be notified whenever I upload more content. Other than that, we have a very cool and active Discord community. I'll leave links to that down in the description below. And if you're one of those people who likes Twitter, I also have a Twitter. You can find the link for that in the description as well. But enough rambling, onto the video. And anyone who's ever played Spain knows that it's in quite the state at the start. Your military is disloyal, you've got some political violence, national strikes, and a bit of carlism thrown in. Because why not? People want their king, let's give it to them. Start off with the military. We'll need to organize these eventually, but I'm just going to plop them all on Madrid and work on them later. Research-wise, we'll stick with the basics of research and production and construction. Now, there's no tricks here for research. Just keep your industry and engineering up to date, then focus on the infantry. And as you get more slots, maybe you can look at planes, etc. Mostly infantry equipment, artillery, doctrines. Those are the big ones. For construction, we are going to build military factories. Where are we going to build them? Burgos and Navarra, maybe Western Aragon and Valladolid. These areas will make up our heartland. Burgos and Navarra are guaranteed, and we will work hard to secure ourselves Valladolid and Western Aragon, and time permitting, we might even snatch up Eastern Aragon. This will be the Carlist heartland. As for production, not a lot to do here. One more in artillery, one more in support equipment, and the rest into guns. We'll need a lot of guns and stuff. As for our national focuses, we'll start off with a Great Spain. Now as for the navy, we have a sizable navy. We are going to select all of these ships and gather them up in North Africa in a single fleet. Have the nationalist admiral. We have ourselves a bit of an air force. They can go to North Africa as well. Now that's basic setup done. Let's kick things off. Now that the entire military has gathered here, we are going to position our troops in a few key areas. We will need troops in Valencia, Cadiz, Sevilla, Cordoba, Malaga, and Granada. Let's start out with some tactical placement. This División de Caballería, División, yes, this cavalry division here, is guaranteed to flip to us, so we'll park it in a place that we absolutely need, Valencia. Then we'll need 3 divisions in Cadiz. We'll take another 3 divisions in Sevilla. Then there's also Cordoba, I believe. Yes, Cordoba also needs 3 divisions. Malaga needs 3 divisions down here. And that leaves Granada. And that's where I'll put my mountaineers, because Granada is a mountain tile. Hey, see, there's some forethought in this. So this is where we'll want our military deployed. A quick recap. We want 2 divisions in Valencia. One of those 2 will be our cavalry divisions. 3 divisions in Cadiz, 3 divisions in Sevilla, 3 divisions in Cordoba, 3 divisions in Malaga, and 3 divisions in Granada, and these will be our mountaineers. It's just the best idea. And that's the initial deployment of the military. The reason why we're doing this is because those troops will be in perfect position to seize key Republican areas. And to ensure that we have some control in those areas, these will also be the areas that we need to contest. But we'll get to that when it's relevant. After a Great Spain, we will work our way down here towards secure the northern garrisons and pick either Franco or no Franco, doesn't matter. Let's work on this first. This is the very key event, the Spanish election of 1937. This is what started the whole mess in Spain. And now we have access to a bunch of on-map decisions and some civil conflict decisions here. In this list of decisions, we will mostly be picking the Primo de Rivera speech, as long as it's available, as well as suppressing the strikes. We want to keep spamming these, so always have political power available so you can spam one of these decisions. let's start with a speech. What we'll be doing with the on-map decisions is contesting the areas of Sevilla, Granada, Cordoba, Murcia, and Valencia. By the time the civil conflict fires, we want to have 1 tick of influence in every single one of these states. It's the bottom ones here. 1 tick of influence in each of them. That way they are not a nationalist core. We don't want that. We want these to be Republican cores, so the Republicans will suffer for us having taken their core territory. It contributes to their surrender progress, and it will draw a lot of divisions away from the main front line where the actual fighting will happen. These divisions will be well dug in and should have no difficulties surviving the rest of the conflict. Now, why don't we want like full control? 1, it's too expensive to make that investment, and 2, that will make it a nationalist core, and that doesn't really work for us. We want this to be Republican territory, so that way they suffer for it in terms of surrender progress. And we'll keep going down this tree. We now have a bunch of PP. We will not be spending it on anything except these decisions and on-map decisions. We'll need a good stockpile of it by the time the conflict fires. Now that we're actively working towards the Spanish civil conflict, we will also shift our research more towards combat, so radios and infantry equipment will be next. And as you can see here, the AI is contesting our control of this area. We will probably be ping-ponging a few of these areas between the AI, but we should be able to have 1 tick of influence in every single one of these areas. So keep an eye on that. Like now, we'll wait for them to finish their contesting, and then we'll do it again for 10 PP instead of 20. I mean, it's a bargain at 10. There we go. Now this is a big one. Secure the northern garrisons. That will give us control of this entire area. It's pretty great.
A few moments later.
There's 2 days left on the military plot. There's no point in suppressing any more strikes. There's no point in contesting any more areas. They're still challenging the garrison in Valencia, but that will take 4 days, and the civil conflict will fire in 2 days. So in 2 days of game time, this whole thing will kick off, and it's going to be a fairly even match. 51 versus 54, but we will be organized, and they will be in a complete state of disarray. There we go, the Spanish civil conflict. Time to pick our faction. By God, fatherland, and king, we will win. This is the option you want to choose for the Carlists. The supremacy of the communion. Alright, now, a little organization before we go anywhere. These southern troops all need to be under a single general, and Mohammed Mizdiane here is our best general. We need him to keep these troops alive. You can set a bunch of fallback orders on victory points, and that way these troops will have a good chance of actually remaining alive, and there's no risk of them accidentally walking out of the victory point that they're supposed to hold. Now there's going to be some units in terrible positions. There's nothing for it. They'll have to stick around or be destroyed. At least while they're standing somewhere, they are distracting the enemy. Now once we unpause, several of these divisions will start redeploying, and you'll start seeing gaps where you can send some units into. The main goal here is to link up these inland tiles with the ports so these units can be supplied. Other units like the one over here, they probably will not survive, or this one here. There's a good chance that these will not survive. It's a sad thing, but it is what it is. Now for the north here, we'll have about 15 units close to the border, maybe a little more, 19. Wow. These can take on these northern strongholds, and the idea is to quickly rush the ports while keeping all of these units pinned down. Now this tile has 2 units in it. That's unfortunate, but they'll probably start moving soon. Keep an eye on that, and the moment you see them leave the tile, try and snake your way in there so you can capture the port. That will make it a lot easier to clean up these northern pockets. Now for the Army of Africa, they can have separate invasion orders. We will be hitting Almeria, we'll be hitting Murcia, Alicante, Tortosa, and finally Barcelona up there. And to that end, the Navy will also provide naval invasion support in the Western Mediterranean Sea. The Army of Africa will be hitting those coastal ports and securing even more victory points for our side and drawing ever more troops off the main front line. Anyone left, these 18 divisions will form a simple front line to the south, and they will push towards Madrid. And to that end, we'll be pinning units in place and trying to snake around them as best we can. We can take Madrid early, that will be excellent. Other units can push towards this southern river here, or this more central river, to establish a foothold there. Now for focuses, I recommend starting out with preparing the Carlist insurrection, contacting the Unión Militar Española, and then taking head to Junta Nacional and Unite Requetes. If there's time and the northern pocket hasn't been cleaned up, you can take a war in the north as well. This one isn't super important. This one is though. We need to get this quickly. Now with our basic setup done, we will need to win this conflict. and it's going to be a gruesome and drawn-out battle. This division, though, is in a rather annoying position. I don't really want it here. It's going to attract troops in the area to stick around, and I want these divisions out of Bilbao. So if it works, I'm going to quickly railroad these out, but chances are they'll be attacked. Anyway, speed way down. Right, and now we micromanage our offensive as aggressively as possible before the state modifier unplanned offensive sets in and everything grinds to a halt. This is looking good. Once these divisions leave the port of Bilbao, I'm immediately going to try and take it. That way all of these divisions are going to be cut off in the north and we can easily close the pocket. I'll be pinning any division I see on the front line in place. Don't need to win those battles, just need to have enough time to go around them. Take as many victory points as possible, weaken the Republicans as much as we can. Excellent, they left Bilbao. I'll pin these divisions in place and move a unit into the port. Our naval invasions will launch as soon as possible, and whatever we have left of our air force we can now also deploy into the field. Major fighting is going to be in southern Iberia, so I'll support the units there. These are holdouts, we need to keep these intact as long as we can. There we go, the front lines have solidified. Now every area will get a massive penalty to speed, division organization gain, division attack, and etc. This will cause the entire conflict to grind to a halt, and the only way to get rid of it is with these on-map decisions per region. This will remove the unplanned offensive debuffs. I'm going to start around Madrid. My plan will be to try and encircle Madrid and cut off the Spanish army from its supplies. Now to the north we'll clean up these pockets. Once these pockets are cleaned up, I will reassign the divisions that are currently cleaning up here to work towards the Barcelona pocket, while the rest of the army can work on the southern thrust. Yeah, the naval landings were by and large a complete failure. Usually this goes a lot better. But again, even with a worst case scenario, we can still win this civil conflict in, well, I wouldn't say record time now, but we'll get a good time nonetheless. I'll keep making small pockets, isolating units, destroying them, while in the south, whenever you have to use a last stand, keep these positions defended as best you can. Once we clean up to the north, that's going to help. And again, the plan is not to take Madrid, the plan is to completely cut off Madrid from the outside world. That way the rest of the Republican army will get virtually no supplies. They'll still have local supply, but we will control most of the victory points. Oh god, that's a lot of Russians. Wow, that's a lot of Russians. I think we found the Russian army. Anyway, we finished prepare the carlist insurrections. Move on to contact the Unión Militar Española. We also have a few additional decisions on the map here. We can establish carlist cells. Doing this will take 90 days and assign the area to us as the Carlist faction in our ensuing uprising against the nationalists. If we're taking this slowly, we might actually turn this into a three-way civil conflict. Now, the areas I recommend you take are Valladolid, Western Aragon, Eastern Aragon, and León. León is optional. You don't really need this, but if you have the time, you can take it. We don't have to focus on Burgos or Navarra. Those are ours by default. I'll start with Valladolid. Take this decision every 90 days. We're going to get as many of these as we can. There we go. We've encircled the Spanish capital. Now, let's make sure they don't break that encirclement. They will come at us hard. They will want this problem resolved. And again, you can see we've made a bunch of encirclements, but the pockets just aren't closing, and it's all to this modifier, unplanned offensive. This completely destroys any combat that's going on, or rather any offensive combat. You really want to clean this up or make your gains before it sets in, otherwise, well, you'll be stuck there for a while.
6 hours later.
Okay, the Unión Militar Española. This will give you 3 options of areas that will fall to your control and give you some troops. 5 infantry divisions with 3 battalions in them, so tiny divisions, but numbers are what counts. We can either get them in Galicia, Salamanca, or León. I recommend picking León because it's nice and continuous with the rest of our power base in Burgos, Navarra, Valladolid, and possibly Aragon, and it would cut the nationalists in half since they will take most of the north like Galicia, Asturias, and the south where, well, the bits we're conquering right now. So let's secure the Unión Militar in León, and for focuses we will head the Junta Nacional. It looks like the crackdown is impending, 230 days. We have 36 days left for our first area to control, so I think we should be able to pull it off roughly 3 more times. Maybe 2, I hope 3. We'll see. And the AI wouldn't be the AI if they weren't out to completely ruin any game for you. The Germans took Madrid, so they're no longer cut off from supply. They moved their capital to Barcelona, and Barcelona has supply. Might as well take it now. Doesn't matter, we're almost ready for our final big offensive and cleaning up these Republican dogs. So it's December of 36, and we pretty much have this in the bag. We have inflicted massive casualties on the Republicans, we've taken most of the industrial capacity, and, well, it looks like they're edging towards surrender. Problem is, Barcelona is very well reinforced right now. What I'm doing now is increasing my deficit of equipment by spamming out a bunch of troops, and then going to see if Italy wants to send me more stuff. They'll only send you equipment if your stores are low, like they are for me. They don't have artillery though. So we'll ask our questions. Maybe they'll send us stuff, maybe they won't. Oh yeah, they'll send us stuff, and the Germans as well, and then we'll just simply cancel those again. A little cheeky, I know, but gotta make do with what you have. Let's see, there's 109 days left before the crackdown. That leaves us enough time to do one more focus. I guess it's going to be this one, followed by no compromise on carlist ideals, giving us the advantage when the inevitable conflict with the nationalists comes along. So that's perfect timing. As for getting some more territories, shouldn't be too much longer, so in 10 days we can get... Yep. Perfect timing. We'll get ourselves Eastern Aragon. We're mopping up this area very nicely. Just look at these casualties. I think we're doing quite well as the nationalists. Oh, and I messed up. I'm 3 days off because I got distracted micromanaging. This will take 90 days. Yeah, this is not happening. So ideally, when you're doing this, you're not a complete idiot like myself, and you will actually pay attention. At this point, you simply click Establish Eastern Aragon Carlist Cell, and you have all your areas that you need. I won't be able to do that, but it's okay. Don't need it. I can manage without it. Alright, that's the fall of Barcelona. I'm gonna start reorganizing my armies, though. This is a mess. Looks like the Regional Defense Council decided to join in on the fun. Okay, I think this is a little bit buggy, just a tad. Oh well, buggy or not, doesn't seem like they stand much of a chance against our armies anyway. With a little luck, we'll be able to finish this entire conflict before the crackdown even happens. Now finally, no compromise on Carlist ideals. We'll skip this one, revive the spirit of the Carlists just for now. Let's head on here. We want the initiative when we rise up. And again, let's cheese some equipment out of the Italians. Alright, we have 38 days. Well, no, we rather have 35 days to end things with the nationalists, or rather the Republicans. Somehow I doubt we'll make it, but we will struggle on regardless. Best case scenario, we actually make it. Worst case scenario, well, we'll have to endure some more chaos here. They really don't have much more left. And once Valencia falls, that's, I believe that's it. And the only thing keeping them afloat is their Russian divisions. That's the only thing with a little bit of gas left in the tank. At least the anarchists aren't a problem anymore. It's gonna be close, but we might actually defeat the Republicans before this focus finishes. That might allow us to reorganize our military to get in a better position. Yeah, once Valencia falls, that's it. That should end this. And we're gonna make it. We made it. Oh, thank God. Now, to just reorganize everything in the area that we know we'll control, Burgos. We'll focus the entire military there, and then once we start our uprising part 2, we'll organize from there. Well, we've also got 150 PP, might as well save that and ramp this up to war economy. Shouldn't be long now, 5 more days, well 6. There we go. Now we need to defeat the brown shirts. We should be able to do that. We have a significant military at our disposal now. Alright, let's keep going. Revive the spirit of the Carlists. That will allow us to get Crusade against Democracy next. Before we do anything, some organization is in order. We'll split the army into halves. First order of business will be to clean up this mess here. Push towards La Coruña and clean up Galicia, especially like quickly push in on these 2 tiles here to really cut the nationalists in half, and then quickly and aggressively push south and roll this up. You can also now go up to war economy. And again, slow things way down and get things moving. Time for Crusade against Democracy. This is going to give us a national spirit that will be improved by everything in here. And the only downside to it is, despite all of these excellent bonuses that this gives, it's all cumulative by the way, you need to do a focus and then wait 70 days. So you can take these focuses every other focus. I recommend doing it. It really improves your country and your military substantially.
A few moments later.
You can see here, we finished Crusade against Democracy, and now it says at least 70 days since Crusade against Democracy has last been modified, which means every other focus we can take one of these 5. So I recommend doing that. Meanwhile, let's work towards confirm the fueros and take some industrial and recovery options below here. We want to head down here towards stamp out the Maquis as quickly as possible so we can start recoring Spain. Et voila, December of 1937. We have once again reunited Spain under a single banner. Now the real work begins. We will reorganize the entire military into these African divisions. We will need a lot of equipment to do anything with them, and we'll just park them on the French border. We will be training more of these divisions, as many as we can. This will be the core of our military for now. Eventually, we will be upgrading these to 14 force. That means 14 infantry battalions for artillery battalion. Basically double this, and we'll use these as the basis for our garrison template. That way we don't need too much artillery to get things done. So now that we've unified Spain, things are not looking great. Our military will need a substantial amount of equipment to even equip our standing army. We will need to recruit a lot of additional troops as well, because once Germany kicks things off with France, we will try and get in the thick of it, grinding against southern France to get our participation up before making a naval landing on the UK and knocking the Allies out early. But for that, we need to recover. Fortunately, we now have control of the navy again. So we have some ships. We have a, non-existent economy right now. And our production capacity is limited, to say the least. You don't have to finish these ships, I just do so because, well, I'm an idiot. As for focuses, we will be rushing down towards stamp out the Maquis first. This will allow us to reclaim provinces of Spain as our core territory again, after which we will be getting industrial bonuses, research slots, before we head down to claim the French throne. Now, if there's time, however, we can stop by and restore the Iberian Union first, getting Portugal in the mix as well. Other than that, expanding these focuses here, every other focus might not be a bad idea. They boost the crusade against democracy, national spirit by certain percentages, but you can only do these every other focus, so these take a cooldown of 70 days. It's only December of 1937, so we have about a year and a half to fix this country, so let's get to that. Now we come to the succession question. You can pick your new king here. I recommend going with Javier here of Bourbon-Parma. Also, ramp up these recruitment laws. Volunteer only is not gonna cut it. We need a lot more manpower, especially having lost all these cores. We need manpower to fill the garrisons. We need the garrisons to be at maximum capacity. That way we can get resistance down and start coring the areas. And anything to get stability up. Might as well take some promises of peace here. Now that we have stamped out the Maquis, we have access to some more decisions here. Every time one of these states that is not currently a core reaches 35% compliance, and we have more than 2,000 guns in our stockpiles, we can turn the area into a core. Will take about 70 days. Definitely going to need to do that. We need the manpower, we need the factories, and we don't want our country to be in revolt against itself. Next up, we will rush down to restore the Iberian Union, and along the way we'll pick up some modifiers to improve the country. I've also researched military police just to keep that annoying resistance under control. Gonna switch this into our cavalry template next. Since our cavalry is responsible for policing, let's switch in military police for recon. That should help resistance go down. And to further improve our country, after we've ramped up to limited conscription, we'll take another advisor, Martin de Riquer. Political power gain, pretty great. A relations improvement, not that interesting, but daily compliance gain, that's gonna help. Dios Patria Rei has somewhat helped with that recovering from the Civil War national spirit, made it a little bit less harsh. Now let's head on to restore the empire and restore the Iberian Union after that. Just gonna quickly snag up Portugal if we can. It will just help us secure the peninsula, and Portugal's pretty weak. With the empire restored, we could head down to restore the Iberian Union or strengthen the empire, but quickly we're going to take a bypass here and expand the Requetes, get that 3% recruit pop. We need more manpower. As you can see, we are at 0. Not great. And another investment in PP here. We can pick up the traditional theorist for another 15% PP gain. That will make the PP flood in. From now on, we'll probably be improving the military. So it's January of 39. Resistance is under control. The army is relatively well equipped. We are fixing our massive deficit. We have a few factories, and our production has somewhat recovered. A few more days, we'll finish the Requetes, giving us more manpower. Then we'll snag up Portugal before moving on to take France. But we still have some time before things kick off in Europe. With the Requetes expanded, as you can see, it takes another 70 days before we can take another crusade against democracy focus. Let's restore the Iberian Union, bring Portugal into the fold. They are incredibly weak, so they shouldn't pose too much of a problem. And we have another 150 PP. I'm going to pick up the lifelong carlist first for 10% stability. That will push us over 80. And we won't risk any strikes. From now on, we'll be investing in the military staff, maybe bumping it up to free trade, but that can wait. And restore the Iberian Union is done. We could now claim the French throne, though I fear that might be a little bit early. Germany hasn't started its business in Europe yet. Let's focus a little more on improving our country. I'm gonna get that extra research slot here. And we can core our first territory, Catalonia. And the Portuguese reject our proposal. Well, that's their problem. Simply declare, and everybody gets to march in. They really don't have the strength to oppose us. There we go. That was hardly a fight now, was it? I'm going to satellite their African holdings, then puppet Portugal itself. Done. We now have a bunch of puppets, and the peninsula is secured, as well as the Portuguese fleet. And a good source of tungsten here. And now we redeploy the army against France and the UK and prepare for trouble. And while we do have time, it doesn't hurt to prepare. I'll start by setting the navy to naval invasion support in the western approaches and the Bay of Biscay. And I'll prepare some naval operations from La Coruña into the port of Cardiff, Bristol, and the area surrounding it. We'll make a total of 5 landings, hitting the tile left of Cardiff all the way through to the tile beneath Bristol. So this entire coastline here. From there, we will quickly push out and also ferry across the rest of our army. Should be able to knock the UK out relatively quickly. I'm going to assign units to it real quick so the invasion can be prepared, and once it's prepared, I'll just assign the troops elsewhere. Germany has just finished the Molotov-Ribbentrop Pact, so we are running out of time. Still, I believe there should be enough time to get one more of these focuses before we need to claim the French throne. I'm gonna improve my crusade against democracy some more and keep coring your territory. Alright, Germany has finished the Danziger War. We are about to finish Defenders of Catholicism. After this, we will claim the French throne and get involved. To that end, let's improve the army a little bit. Army logistics, not bad. Army regrouping, nothing super interesting. I'll just take army organization. Alright, time to claim the French throne, and in 70 days we'll get involved. Let's hope the French last that long. If you think this is cutting it a little too close, it's perfectly fine to take this one a little earlier, but I like to take risks. You can easily take this focus a little bit earlier. And we have claimed the French throne. Let's get involved here. Declare on the French and aggressively push into France. And Gibraltar the moment the UK joins that. As for focuses, the rest of this tree mostly gives us war goals. Don't really need those right now. We'll finish battle rights first, giving us a nice bonus to attack and defense for our divisions. And then follow up with strengthen the empire and any more economic bonuses. Now let's take the speed down and see what happens. And the UK has joined as well. Let's push them out of Gibraltar. Stat. Leave the navy in port. Don't want to draw attention. We'll give them an order once our naval invasions are ready to set off. And we've taken Gibraltar. Excellent. Might want to leave a small garrison there. Don't want them immediately retaking it. And these shock troops can be redeployed to La Coruña and wait there until it's safe to cross. How much you can get here really depends on how many troops they shuffle south and how much territory you can take before they respond. But still, every little bit helps. Now, usually the AI invites you to their faction. Unfortunately, it doesn't look like the Germans are inviting us to the Axis. Oh, there go the French. And we got some bits of it. See if they're willing to invite us now. No, they're still not willing to invite us.
12 seconds later.
Okay, so I've reloaded the game real quick, and, well, the strategic reasons are gone. Just need to get their opinion of us up. Meanwhile, we'll prepare to invade the United Kingdom. We can only send 10 units across, so we'll assign 2 units to every one of these naval invasions we prepared earlier. The rest of the army will stand by in the port, ready to ship across as well. Ah, there we go. The Germans have decided they'd like us in their faction. If you have this problem where there are strategic reasons against you joining an alliance or whatever, simply close the game and open it again, and the AI should have that modifier cleared and things will proceed as normal. So let's get into the Axis. As far as participation is concerned, 10%. Not terrible. UK's fighting in Africa. Hope they keep a lot of troops there. That way we can walk into their homelands. Alright, the troops are in position. We're going to let the organization take up. And once all that is done, we'll send out the navy. and hopefully beat out the UK. Should be able to. Send the fleets out. Yes, green and green. Let's launch this operation. Ships have set off. Now, much of this hinges on just how committed the United Kingdom is to Africa. If they're not committed at all and kept all their troops on the home islands, this is going to be difficult. Not impossible, but difficult and micro-intensive. Now, if they're heavily committed to Africa, this is easy. They usually don't have a lot of troops left at home, and you can just walk in. Oh, this is exciting. I don't think they have any troops to oppose our landing. That would be great. Okay, we've landed, and I'm immediately getting rid of these horrible, horrible, horrible front lines. First order of business is to aggressively push out, take as many tiles as we can, preferably some victory points in the mix as well. Now, we manually want to expand this bridge out as quickly as possible, make it as wide as possible, take as many victory points as we can to secure local supply. The Navy can head back home, or if you're feeling particularly confident, you can set them to convoy escort. You do risk losing your entire navy to the Royal Navy though. Now everything left behind on the mainland can be shipped across now as well into Bristol. UK is responding, but it's a rather weak response. Now, to maximize our participation here, what we want to do is encircle London, but not actually take the province, and capture the rest of the island before we take London. Just want to get the most out of this. And I think we're going to end this on 25% participation. Not great, not terrible, we can work with this. The important thing is the Allies have capitulated and they are done for. Okay, and that concludes the peace deal. So what did we get out of this? We got a good slice of France. This gives us a nice avenue into Vichy France, which coincidentally is going to be our next target. It gave us a sizable Great Britain. Most importantly, we will now be able to take the Royal Navy from them once we integrate them. And also very nice, we have access to the Spanish Raj, rather the British Raj. Well, let's just call it India, shall we? This gives us options in future. Funny enough, Germany has taken Malaysia. That's going to put them on a collision course with Japan. Like I said, our next target will be the French. So let's prepare to take them on, shall we? Best do this while they are still weak. Meanwhile, we continue recruiting troops until we are ready to take them out. And first order of business will be to justify on the Vichy French. So I will now be building up the military. We will work on getting a justification done on the Vichy French, and when that's done, I'll be back through the power of editing.
20 minutes later.
And with that, we have finished our justification on the Vichy French. They shouldn't pose too much of a problem. Meanwhile, keep improving the economy. We'll need quite the strong economy and military if we are ever to take on the Axis themselves. But as for Vichy, troops are in position. They don't have a sizable army anyway. Do note that you need something in Africa. You need to take some of their African holdings, because just taking the stuff they have in France proper is not actually enough to capitulate them. Just so you know. At any rate, you simply declare war without calling in the rest of the Axis and let these battle lines run. As you can see, production-wise, still making the basics. I've also started making some fighters and close air support. I will also be starting up a line of towed anti-air. These are excellent as a support company for that piercing and just, you know, shooting down enemy planes. We will need a lot more factories though. And that's Vichy French done. Pretty easy. We want all the cores. Naturally. That includes Corsica and North Africa. Next up, we'll create a bunch of satellites and puppet them to get control of their fleet eventually. That's done. Vichy France is in the Algerian desert. Well, where do we go from here? Now we will have to tangle with the Axis next, which means we need to ramp up our industry as best we can, expand our military, get the best troops we can and get as many of them as we can, and just take on the Germans. Best moments to do that is when they're balls deep in the Soviet Union. And to that end, let's start preparations. Probably need to make a lot more equipment though. So we need more factories. The easiest way to do that right now is to get our puppets to be slightly weaker. I'm going to start lend-leasing the UK so we can integrate them. We will also be changing this template to a 14-4, which means 14 of these infantry battalions, 4 of these artillery battalions, and we'll fiddle with the support somewhat as well. Probably getting rid of recon and replacing it with signal companies. We'll also pick up support artillery, support anti-air, and maybe if there's enough equipment, we'll get some supply companies as well. And again, I will return to you through the power of editing.
Later.
Alright, it's January of 1943. And the Axis is about to crush what's left of the Soviet Union. This is unfortunate, but we needed more time. As you can see, we are almost ready to integrate Great Britain, after which we'll simply release them again. We don't want to bother with the territory, but this way we get control of the Royal Navy. And with control of the Royal Navy, we will rule the seas. Now, the easiest way to integrate your puppet that quickly is just to send them everything you have. I sent them my convoys, my guns, my artillery, everything. Doesn't matter. We get all of it back anyway the moment we integrate them. Now, as for the military, I've managed to make 3 armies of 14-4s on the French front. I pulled together some chaff here. These are all Portuguese and British divisions, 7-2s I believe. Yes, 7-2s to man the Italian front. And I've got another army of 14-4s ready to launch a naval invasion of Italy. Our goal will be to knock out Italy as quickly as possible. Now, as for Africa, again, I just cobbled together some garbage that the UK had left over. Maybe we'll turn them into something decent eventually. The African front is not really a priority. It would just be nice to lock down this front. Takes a little bit of the pressure off. Now, another nice thing is that because the Germans puppeted a bunch of things in the Southeast Asias, they are now at odds with Japan, so we don't have to worry about fighting Japan once we justify on our Italian brothers. So we will justify on Italy. In 40 days, we will be able to take on the Axis, and provided the Soviet Union has not completely collapsed by then, they might make something of a recovery. We'll see. Alrighty, we can now annex the UK. What I'm going to do first is just get rid of all of these expeditionary forces they gave me. That way they flip back to the UK, and, well, once we take control of their units, we'll actually have those units at our disposal as well. Whereas if we don't do that, they bug out. I've also not selected the national focus. There's not that many great focuses out there. Might work on suppressing the subjects later on. Right now I need more PP. So manage subjects and annex Great Britain. First things first, we'll take control of the entire Royal Navy and we'll add them to our own fleet. Don't need these submarines, they're a bit garbage. I'll just add them to the reserves. All of these units. we just borrowed. I'll make these into 7-2s, give them their general back and plop them back down. They can ravage Africa for me. And whatever's left, 35 divisions. Yeah, there's a bunch here. I'm gonna get rid of these. They're pointless. And 23 divisions still. Okay, we'll add these to the Alps. That means I can send the Portuguese units home. That's good. I will be lacking some artillery though once those divisions start filling up. Now, how do I proceed from here? Well, I'd much rather have the UK as a puppet again, because this territory is going to be terrible to defend. And, well, you can already see resistance is rising, and we hardly have any compliance. 0. So we'll simply release them as a puppet again, and might as well release Ceylon as a puppet also. Now we will be lend-leasing to them and send them a bunch of convoys again. 800, 700, 750 convoys should do. That way we can immediately turn them back into an integrated puppet, giving us all those factories again. Well, maybe not all of them, but still. Many of them. Oh yeah, factories are a problem now, but that will sort itself out. Now I am going to be short some equipment soon though. And this Alpine army I stole from the British will turn into 14 force. So yes, I will be short quite a bit of equipment. That's okay, we can make more once we can reintegrate them as a puppet in 14 days. So the justification is going to finish, yeah, in 12 days. So the Italian justification is going to finish first though, but that's okay. We can wait a few more days. Alrighty, our justification for Piedmont is finished. Army's in position. Gonna wait a little bit until these guys get their organization back. Wouldn't want to start a war without the army being ready. In Africa, we can aggressively push out. In Europe, our mighty new navy can support a naval invasion of the Tyrrhenian Sea. Oh, I should probably be adding airplanes to these new carriers we have. Alright, now we'll send some airplanes to those carriers. Navy will head out. That's good, and we should be able to launch those naval invasions and push into Corsica quite easily. No, wait, Sardinia. Yes, Sardinia. They have fortified the Alps though, but that's okay. Should be able to hold there. Germany has redeployed a lot of troops towards our borders, but again, should be okay. In 5 days, I can turn Great Britain into an integrated puppet. So might as well just get things moving along. As you can see, we're not facing Japan because the Japanese are already fighting the Axis. The Germans joined the party. Let's push towards these rivers quickly and aggressively. They make for much better positions to defend, and early game we will be defending against them mostly just to wear them down while we tickle the Italians a bit. Africa shouldn't be an issue at all. Oh yeah, take the speed way down. Alright, naval invasion went off without a hitch. Perfect. Now immediately and aggressively expand. Gonna send these guys over as well. Don't need that many units to secure Sardinia anyway. I might be able to take Rome early. Would appear Italian units are showing up now. They are responding, but we're about to cut their country in half, so shouldn't be too much of an issue. Germans seem to be aggressively attacking. That's great. Let them burn manpower and equipment on our lines. We can hold. Same for Italy. But I wish Italy wouldn't burn so much. More they leave behind, the more I can take. Alright, Italy is going to fall any minute now, and we'll have to make an immediate dash towards the north here. Pushing as far as we can before Germany. Yep, there we go. Now we have to push in as far as we can before the Germans and assorted Balkan countries respond. I think I'll rush here. This seems like a good defensible position. And the army we had in the Alps here will now redeploy to France and see if we can't use them to cut through here and quickly across. Maybe we can cut off some German units in Brittany. We're not going to bother with the Balkans. We're going to lose this no matter what, and that's okay. We weren't planning on holding it anyway. Let's ramp up to extensive conscription because we need that manpower. Well, with Italy gone, I think we can make a move on France now. Or soon. They'll start redeploying a bunch of troops here in a panic to get this garrisoned. No, they're already popping up. All in all, we're not doing too bad. We secured most of North Africa and will probably push Italy out of here without too much issue. We've secured the Italian peninsula and we're ready to strike at France, and hopefully we can snowball that into an invasion of Germany. Soviet Union's clinging on to dear life here. Hope they can last. Looking at casualties, we're not doing too bad. We need a bit more contribution though, but we have time. We have a lot of time. Oh boy, oh boy. If we can complete this encirclement, that will be huge. Okay, we closed it. Those units go there. Blue army go there. Blue army now aggressively try and close that. This army should try an offensive move out when the situation calls for it. Alright, with that going on, the Navy. I'm getting my subs out, and maybe we can convoy raid Bay of Biscay. Just hope when we can trap a bunch of units in here. I just hope they don't manage to make a great escape. Alright, now push towards Brest and destroy those divisions. Rest of the front seems stable. Might find an opportunity or two to launch an attack. The Alps were doing fine. Don't think they'll be breaking this anytime soon. Africa also pretty much unopposed. That's a lot of German divisions in there. Should be quite a few German divisions in here, unless they've all managed to escape. I'm gonna call the Vichy French in. They only have a navy, so at least they'll start using their navy at my advantage. Well, to my advantage. Besides they're not gonna contribute much anyway. Oh, right. I forgot. Now the terrain is gonna flip to Vichy France. Ugh. That's fine, we'll integrate them eventually. I'm just gonna send them a bunch of stuff. So yeah, I'm just gonna work on integrating the Vichy French. Gives me more ships and I don't have to worry about this horrible mess. Totally forgot about that. Oh, I wonder how many Germans I killed in that pocket. Not as many as I thought. It's unfortunate. I think I'll try a bit of a cheeky naval landing to the German rear. We'll see how that plays out. Let's see how Germany's doing. Can't see much. Probably start doing some infiltrations. Maybe some collaborations? Yeah, I'll start doing some collaborations. At least that way I don't have to walk as far. Let's see about that naval landing. Seems to be going off without a hitch. Ooh, they've got quite some troops here. Wasn't expecting that. Though, to be honest, they seem to be of the garbage variety. Yeah, we're at the gates of Paris already, 1 hour in, and I'd say we're doing quite nicely. I'm going to change our trade laws. I'm going to limited exports. That way, we get to hold on to a bit more of our own stuff. I don't have to trade for as much. I don't really need the extra factories that the trading gives me. My economy is quite strong already. Oh, we did it. We got a good pocket going here. Now, time to dig in and aggressively close that. Germans are going to fight to get back out of there, and we are not going to let them. We can afford to take some losses if we can just get this pocket closed. That's a lot of German divisions that are going to be disappearing. Oh yeah, that's 30 German divisions trapped. Not a bad day's work. Let's see how much that was. 500,000 casualties, I think.
1 hour later.
German presence on our front line is a bit too strong right now. So I'll see if I can draw some away with a naval landing and then try another push. In the Alps, they're still suiciding. Alright, let's set off that naval landing, see where we end up. Any pressure we can take off this line is great. It's already November and I would like to get some actual German territory in my hands before the Soviet Union completely falls over. They've lost the Caucasus now, so it's a matter of time before they fall. Oh, it looks like the area. Oh, yeah. The area seems to be well garrisoned. That could prove problematic for that naval landing. Yikes. I hope I don't lose too many troops here. We can still cut across Kiel though, I hope. Oh yeah, these divisions are lost, I'm afraid. Still, if we can manage to make it to Kiel, all is not lost. We will have to push north. Now, these guys are doomed. I'm gonna be a little cheesy and switch them out for something terrible, then disband them. No point fighting that battle. We'll need to quickly take the canal, then I can get my troops across. Well, this may have been a bad idea, but we'll see what happens. I can afford to lose some troops, though it always sucks to lose an entire army, of course. Alright, our divisions can start getting across. The push towards Aarhus. This may prove to be a terrible idea, but we'll see. If they reach it, they might be able to reinforce this line. If they don't, well, things happen. Well, if I manage to dig in here, I might actually hold out and clean up Denmark. Just be a big old thorn in the German side. Assuming they don't completely wipe us out here, of course. Best keep the pressure up to the south to ensure that they don't get any towards ideas. Well, we've managed to take Denmark. Well, that's a lovely thorn in Germany's side, or, well, top, but I'm afraid we won't be pushing out from here anytime soon. They've really shorted this up. We'll have to look elsewhere.
1 eternity later.
Alright, it looks like we're slowly starting to get somewhere. It turns out that the major issue is the Air Force. In the current patch, they seem to have changed the way fighters and CAS interact. In previous patches, fighters would simply intercept CAS if you set them to an intercept mission or air superiority. It would seem, however, that currently close air support is completely ignored by fighters if they have other fighters to, well, fight. Meaning, if you simply stack a giant amount of close air support, like the AI does, they can bomb the enemy into oblivion with impunity. So we'll take a page out of their book and do the same. So after a year and a half or a year and 3/4 of a WW1 scenario on the Western Front, we finally got it. It was all in the air after all. Well, good to know. At least we can start producing a bunch more close air support. So yeah, in these last few weeks, the front line has moved more than it has in the previous year. In case anyone's wondering, just build a giant amount of CAS. Sure, they're shooting down a lot of them, but doesn't really matter as long as we're advancing. Yeah, I think it's time we end this massive breakthrough in the Netherlands now, and with some good offensive operations, we should be able to knock down the Germans. I could have done this a lot sooner if I had realized that, but the way air works now, not quite as intuitive. Just build a bunch of close air support and fighters and stack them in a single air zone. Oh, game's lagging. Is that the Soviet Union? That's the Soviet Union. Okay, so they knocked out the USSR. That's great. That means we now have absolute control of the war. Well, except for Japan, but Japan's not going to be able to do much with their limited amount of participation. It's time to launch our offensive. I'd like to see them stop this. The game is proving very, very laggy. Ah, Germany's capitulated. Let's see who else is in this. That's it. This should be over now. Oh no, Greater Hungary and Legionary Romania. Okay.
Eventually.
There we go. There's the peace deal. We won. Now we can take what we need. And with that final peace deal, we now have 1 king, 2 crowns. As Carlist Spain, we have conquered all the core territory of France. And got some powerful puppets in the mix. German Empire. Yes. And Kingdom of Italy. I do wonder why the Kingdom of Italy actually gets Victor Emmanuel, while the German Empire is random dude. Oh well. It was a bit of a struggle, but we got there eventually. Now, if you like this video, leave a like, consider subscribing if you want to see more like this, and hit me up in the comments. Tell me what you want to see next. I'm always looking for great ideas. Also, feel free to check out our Discord. It's a nice little community we've built over the last couple of months. I'll leave links to that down in the description below. I also want to make a big shout out to my patrons. You guys are incredibly supportive of the channel. It's your support that helps make these videos happen. Thank you, thank you, thank you. This has been me, bittersteel. Have a good one. Goodbye.